What's going on, future me? We just wanted to obviously go into my pre-market plan for the week, as with every week. I don't want to take up too much, of my future self's time. There are a couple of observations that I'm going to be making this week and want to be obviously staying on top of for the coming weeks. As we can kind of see, just to jump straight into it, we have the dollar, the weekly here, pulled up, and as you guys can kind of see, right, this most weekly candle close was kind of a nasty one, right? One of two observations that I've made is obviously the first being this long width to the upside. Kind of count this as a retest into this previous zone around 105.50 area that we just broke out of before a move lower, or a potential Morningstar reversal back into a reclaim of this potential zone. So just something to kind of take into consideration and think about as we go into this coming week. Another sort of observation to here as well is that we have obviously this SR zone that's been respected time and time again, and as we can see, it's being respected as we speak. This is obviously a bouncer break level, and I definitely think, especially for this week, it's in a very pivotal point in the chart. Just because obviously we're going to have a ton of news coming out and everything else to act as a catalyst to either bounce or break this level. So that's something that I'm obviously going to be taking a look at and watching as these different press releases and everything else kind of come out. The Fed is going to be making their rate decision this week as well. So that's something to again just monitor as we go into this week. So moving on from there, we'll go ahead and jump into JPYBasket. This is actually very interesting as far as the observations I've been making on this particular index. Mainly because obviously we've moved into this 8,000 level close, with a bit of weakness and have started to reverse from that level. What I'm thinking is, right, if we start to reclaim these previous ranges and start to break down from this channel, it could make a case for GJ longs, just because the pound has shown a lot of strength lately, and is looking pretty healthy on its weekly reclaim. So what I'd like to see obviously is a decoupling of those two currency indexes to see GJ start trending and breaking out of its ranges that it's in, because it has been a little bit choppy. I didn't take any trades on GJ this week just because of that. So going into the pound, as you guys can kind of see, we're pushing into this sort of local high resistance, and we're looking pretty good, right? We had a small knockback there, now forming a round bottom back into that level there as well. So I'm obviously going to want to see how we continue to move around this level into that 126 sort of range and area, to make sure that we maintain pound strength. So with that in mind, that's kind of what I'll be looking at here as well. You can look at it on the weekly here as well, as far as where we're moving within these different ranges. We are moving into that 618 sort of region, so that's something that, again, I'm going to be wanting to monitor and see a reaction on as we move into the coming weeks. Again, main sort of play and thesis behind this is wanting to see a decoupling of the pound and the yen. So with that said, we can move on into GJ, excuse me. And we'll start with the weekly, right? As I've mentioned, time and time again on all, these previous pre-market plans and everything else, we are playing around at this weekly range high. So I want obviously wanting to see something definitive in either direction before I make a decision as far as where I want to be positioned in the market. And it becomes a lot clearer as far as the range is concerned on lower time frames. As you guys can kind of see on the daily, I know that's something I outlined in the past, is this sort of lower high and lower low structure potentially forming. And as we can kind of see, right, again, two different observations that I'm making here as well, because I want to look at it from both sides. We're playing around again at this weekly range high, this June high that I've been waiting to see a break and retest on, potentially to get into buys, and then on the other side of that, breaks below. Right, so we have two different sort of situations playing out, where we have this potential double bottom here and a break of the neckline being the June high into the local highs at 171, which could be a play, and then a potential triple top here if we knock back from that June high back lower into previous levels of structure. So those are, again, two sort of options and two sort of plays that I'm looking at the moment. And as we look at those different ranges, as always, it looks a lot clearer on lower time frames. So as you guys can kind of see, looking at the 4-hour, I kind of hold true to the same observation I made in previous pre-market plans, as far as the June high being a bouncer break level with sells below and buys above. So of course I'll be wanting to see rejections from this sort of region in the June high before getting short. And let me move this here. This is for the 1 hour. So with that in mind, We could also look at look left at the chart and look at the last week and everything else, and how everything kind of played out. So you look at this sort of range, and it's just a bunch of choppy price action, just a ton of consolidation, lots of wicks. Not something that I necessarily want to trade. So I'll be wanting to again wait for the range break in either direction, whether of the June high breaking rates as higher or lower than that around the 166 sort of region. And of course, 1 hour makes it a lot clearer, as with every time we switch into these lower time frames, you can see the ranges play out fairly cleanly. Again, want to see a reaction of the June high before getting long or shorts from those levels, and then on the other side of that, wanting to get into shorts on breaks below 166 sort of area. So again, we're at the mercy of the range between the June high and the 166 sort of region. So that pretty much sums GJ, and I'm kind of close to the market open here, about 30 minutes. So with that in mind, I do want to get through a lot of the analysis. So with that in mind, as far as gold is concerned, we are moving into a weekly range mid resistance. Also in confluence with this 382, right? So that's something that I'm going to want to keep an eye on, excuse me. Especially being that if we want to remain bullish, we're going to obviously see need to see, excuse me, a continuation into that weekly range mid, and further than that. Going into the daily as well becomes a bit more clear. We have sort of ranges within ranges, as we already know how I sort of view the market and how I play it. We're still bullish, right? We're still making higher highs and higher lows and everything else, and pushing higher. So I'll remain of that same sentiment until we break levels of structure around 1756 or lower than that. I will not be looking for shorts otherwise. So looking at it on the 4 hour, again, pretty clear as far as what the play is. For me, it's a range play between, of course, the eventual break of the range high, or the potential break of that range high around 1805, retest and higher into 1829. Or I'll be taking the range low around the 1780, 1782 area, a retest of those lows into that range high at 1800, 1805 and everything else. If we see an even deeper retest of 1756, I would consider longs. I'm playing it level to level back up from there. But of course, if we break lower than 1756, I'll consider that a reversal. And of course, if we break 1725, excuse me, even more so. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's pretty clear. Looking at it on the 1 hour here as well, the range play becomes extremely clear, right? Again, we're at the mercy of the range between this 1780 sort of level and that 1801 region. I'll be wanting to play breaks and retests above 1800 and higher than that to play it into the next level here at 1820, 1825 sort of area. And then on the other side of that, I'll be wanting to play this range low in the 1780s into 1801, or if we get retest at like 1772, 1756 area, I'll also consider longs depending on how the chart looks. And of course, other side of that, if we get reversals into 1756, I'll then consider that a bearish reversal, and just kind of see where I'll play it from there. So didn't mean to really breeze through it, but again, I didn't want to kind of make it straight to the point. Just overall lay out what the plan is, top to bottom, very straightforward and clear, excuse me. So with that said, I hope that made sense. Future me, I hope you're living your best life, bro. God bless you. I hope you're doing your thing. Also, I did take 2 trades on gold, 2 losses, right? Just poor execution, right? Very simple mistakes that I'll be fixing going into these coming weeks. I had a long, right? A long of this reclaim into 1772 on this engulfing candle right here. I got in extremely early, didn't wait for this retest. That's something that I journaled here as well. Most of the losses that I've ever gotten come from not waiting for the retest. So that's, again, just a mistake on my end, executed poorly. Got in on this engulfing candle, placed a stop loss right below the engulfing candle formation. Obviously got stopped out here because I didn't wait for the retest before it ended up taking off. And then same thing here, I got in on the break of this structure into 1786 for the reclaim into 1801 on this candle here. Got in early, and then it eventually retested at 1782 before moving higher as originally planned. So full sort of disclosure on that end. And yeah, that's my pre-market plan. Once again, future me. Hope you're doing your thing, bro. And yeah, take care. God bless.